Well, hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I am Brian, and it has been a minute since I've done a review on this channel. So today we're going to be going over this new offering from AlphaESS. This is the BlackBee 1000 power station. Now, AlphaESS is not very well known for its power stations, but they are very well known for their big 48 volt wall-mounted type off-grid solar home batteries that you've seen in garages and off-grid cabins and whatnot. So they know what they're doing in terms of batteries, but this is kind of their first foray into the smaller portable battery station market. Now, this BlackBee 1000 is a 1000 continuous running watt rated power station, or up to a 2000 watt peak. It's got a 1036 watt hour rated NMC battery. So it is not lithium iron phosphate battery, unfortunately, but again, it's rated at 1036 watt hours. The price on this unit right now is $849 on Amazon, so that kind of puts this around 82 cents a watt hour. So is that worth it? I don't know. I'm just going to be making this video to show you folks the pros and the cons of this battery station, and you can decide for yourself. I'm not here to sell this to you. I don't get any money if you buy it, so it really doesn't make a difference to me if you buy it or not, but I'm here to hopefully help you out because I do have the opportunity to review this for you if you are interested in it. So just a quick overview, and then we'll pull in closer and I'll show you all the ports. So what does this power station have? Well, first off, it weighs 27 pounds, so it is not extremely heavy, but it's not light. It's not a backpacking power station by any means, but at 27 pounds and a big handle up top that does fold out of the way, which I do like, you can kind of move it around pretty easily. And so up front here, you're going to have quite a few ports to choose from. You're going to start off, we can turn on the display feature. You're going to see the amount of watts in and the amount of watts out, as well as a battery fuel gauge with a percentage down at the very bottom. Now over here, you're going to have a DC circuit with two 55-25 ports and a regulated 12 volt cigarette style outlet. This whole circuit board is rated at 10 amps. So it's not 10 amps for each separate port, but 10 amps all together. Now down here, you're gonna have your three AC pure sine receptacles all on one circuit, where you can turn that on by pressing and holding this button here. And it's going to light green, and that means that this entire AC circuit is now active. And then over here on this side, you're going to have your USB circuits, bidirectional power delivery 100 watts, so you can input and output 100 watts, and then a 5 volt 3 amp power delivery port and two USB 2.4 amp USB-A's. And this is going to be your input for charging via solar or AC wall outlet. And then on the top, you're going to have, which is pretty unique to this power station, two wireless charging pads. So you can charge up to two phones off the top of this wirelessly, and those are rated at 10 watts. You're actually going to have a pretty nice little LED light configuration. So one click is low, click it again, medium, click it again, even higher, and then off. So it does not have that annoying SOS mode that you have to toggle through, that none of us really use, and we always just skip right past it. But this actually has a pretty nice LED light setup on it. But that's basically it for the kind of rundown of this power station. So let's get into some of the testing that I did on it, and I'll give you some numbers that I did. So what I consider to be probably one of the most important tests is the actual usable capacity on this thing. So again, remember, this thing is rated at 1036 watt hours. So I plugged up my DC capacity tester and I charged this thing up to 100%, and I ran that capacity tester at around 9.5 amps, just shy of the 10 amp rating, all the way till the BMS cut this unit off. And I was able to get 993 watt hours squeezed out of this unit, which equates to about 95% efficient. This is the highest efficiency rating I have ever received on a battery that I've tested here on this channel or my other channel. That's really, really good numbers. Now, keep in mind that could just be because AlphaESS has programmed the BMS to allow those batteries to drain a little bit further down than other companies, so you're able to use more of that battery. I don't know, but I can tell you that I have never received 95% efficiency off of a DC capacity test, ever. So I was shocked to see that amount of usable capacity out of this unit. Now, as far as, will this thing run a fridge overnight? Yes and no. it has got a built-in feature that you cannot turn off. So if this unit is using less than 10 watts, it will cut off after 12 hours. So typically, if you're trying to keep a refrigerator, a 12-volt compressor fridge running overnight at camp, you're not going to be asleep for 12 hours, and that fridge is going to be pulling more than 10 watts every 30 minutes or every 1 hour, depending on how low you have that refrigerator setting. But it's going to be using more than 10 watts. But if you're trying to keep like a 3-watt LED light running forever, this unit will cut off because it's going to be running less than 10 watts. So keep that in mind. Anything less than 10 watts, this thing will cut off after 12 hours. Okay, so as far as running multiple items off of this battery station, it has no problems. I've got a 300-watt incandescent light array being ran off of one of the pure sine outlets. I've got a fan running off of another outlet down here. I'm running a USB powered light, and I am actually charging this power station off of the 100-watt power delivery port, and I am getting 100 watts worth of output juice charging this power station. So overall, you're going to have more than enough ports to run multiple items at the same time without any issues. Okay, so here we are running a 500-watt mini space heater. You can see it's actually pulling 415 watts right now, and we are getting 111.9 volts, which is good, above 110. We can check the sine wave, and at 465 watts, still putting out a nice, clean, pure sine wave at 60 hertz. So overall, the inverter on the system seems to be working very well. Okay, let's test out to make sure that this thing can power up to around 1,000 watts continuously, and to do that, I'm going to be using my heat gun, and we're just going to start it off almost full blast and see where it gets us. 932 watts. It's going to go down to 830, and it's going to fluctuate a little bit because the coils in this heat gun have to heat up. 830 watts, 876, 965. Let me just crank it all the way up and see when it cuts off now. 1060. We're right at 1050 watts. Okay, so 4 minutes has passed and we're still at 1050 and the inverter's still going strong, so I'm going to cut this off and say that this does for sure run an appliance at 1,000 watts continuously without a problem. Well, folks, as you can see in my little non-scientific testing, it did everything that it stated that it would do, and it did it all very well. And one thing I didn't mention, you know, if you do get this, you are of course going to get the AC power brick, which is going to charge the unit, and you're also going to get the cigarette style 12-volt charging cord, as well as a USB-C to USB-C cable. Now, as far as charging goes, this is where it gets kind of on the con side, in my opinion. So this thing only charges up to 200 watts, either via solar or via the AC wall outlet, and only one or the other. You can't do both. So this AC charging brick is going to charge, and I was able to get around 181 watts of charging juice put into this off of the charging brick. And unfortunately, I have had terrible weather here these last 2 weeks here in Texas, and I can't show you the solar charging capabilities, but it is rated at the same 180 to 200 watts max. Now, if you are going to use a solar panel, you have to use between 12 and 24 volt rated solar panel up to 200 watts. So anything over that, you risk burning out the MPPT controller in here. So just make sure if you are going to use a solar panel, it is between the 12 and 24 volt range and not more than 200 watts. So I would like to see a little bit higher charging rate on a battery of over 1,000 watt hours. It will take a little bit longer to charge this thing. Now, you can kind of bump up the amount of watts that this unit can handle if you use this 100 watt bidirectional power delivery port. So you can plug into your wall this AC charging brick, which is going to give you around 180 watts. Plus, if you have a 100 watt power delivery brick, you can also plug into an outlet and plug this cord into that bidirectional power delivery port to get you an additional 100 watts. If you do both of those together, you can top this thing off from 0 to 100% in about 4.5 hours, but you have to use a 100 watt power delivery brick, which this unit does not come with, and you'll have to buy separately. So overall, folks, I think this is a good little power station. There are a few cons that I'm going to tell you what those are in my opinion right now. I wish that the LCD information center would tell you the runtime to empty. I've kind of gotten accustomed to seeing those on most of my power stations, so I like to be able to quickly glance at it and say, okay, if I maintain this amount of watts, I have 3 hours until this battery is drained. I wish that this unit had it. It does not. B, you know, it's not lithium iron phosphate. Now, there are pros and cons of lithium iron phosphate, and we can go down that rabbit hole all day long if you want, but in the end, lithium iron phosphate is a superior battery, in my opinion, to NMC battery. You get a longer lifespan in terms of cycles, being full charge to discharge to charge, versus an NMC battery. Now, NMC batteries are lighter, so a unit this size could weigh twice as much if it had lithium iron phosphate batteries in it. But in my opinion, I still wish it had lithium iron phosphate batteries. This is rated for 1,000 cycles before it goes down to 80% of its original usable capacity. And 1,000 cycles is going to take the average person a very, very long time to get to that threshold. And in all likelihood, by the time you get to 1,000 cycles, probably something else on this unit is going to break, and that's true across the board with any power station, so keep that in mind. But overall, the battery performed very well in all my testing, and I can't not recommend it. And again, right now it's $849 on Amazon, and that puts this battery station at around 82 cents a watt hour. Now, it does not have a UPS function, and it does not have any Bluetooth capability, but overall, from what I can tell, it seems to be a pretty solid little unit. Now, again, I'm not trying to sell this to you because I don't make money if you buy it, and I don't make money if you don't buy it. It's whatever. I just have the opportunity to show this to you if you happen to be perusing through Amazon and see this and wonder, hey, is that a good power station? Well, now hopefully that question brought you to this video and you can decide for yourself. So folks, with that, this is the AlphaESS BlackBee 1000. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you again. Take care.